Fans of Outlander have witnessed their favorite characters go through a wild ride through the series. With these unfortunate series of events continuing to happen, everyone has been wondering how the show will ultimately wrap up. With that being said, here are some shocking theories on how the show might possibly end. Major book spoilers ahead, so proceed at your own risk. First up, Brianna and Roger will return to their time. The first theory we have up here is about the fate of Brianna and Roger. In the books, it was revealed that Brianna and Roger eventually decided to go back to their own time after Brianna gave birth to their second child, who was born with a heart defect. So Grandma Claire told them to return to the 20th century to save their child. However, it still remains unclear how the show will end their story arc. But there is a high possibility that the showrunners will stick to the same timeline as with the book, making them return to their own time. And there are several reasons for it. Roger might be a supporting character, but as we've seen during the previous seasons, he's taken the center stage. Besides this, he has always shown his eagerness to return to their time, therefore the showrunners may not risk screwing it up here. And if Roger and Brianna are satisfied that they're able to save Jamie and Claire from their unfortunate fate, they're most likely ready to go back to their time, and when they do so, they might end up uncovering evidence that Jamie and Claire continued to live their life happily, allowing the series to conclude on a positive note. Another theory is that Jamie will die first. Many viewers may remember that in season 1, Frank spotted the ghost of Jamie gazing up at Claire's window. Well, a lot of things have happened since then, but some fans still have questions about the particular moment. In fact, some people think that it was a subtle hint at how Jamie and Claire's lives will end. One theory talks about how this moment possibly hints that Jamie will die first and Claire will decide to return to her time. That's why Jamie has been waiting for her in the afterlife. In this way, once Claire dies in her own time, their ghosts will finally have their reunion in the lush green Vale of Scotland, giving us a bittersweet ending. Next is that Claire will die in the past. We know all the timelines in Outlander can get a bit confusing as the whole story revolves around time travel, and fans have a lot of unanswered questions about how time travel works in the Outlander universe, such as why these two factors in time appear to run parallel in each other. But some fans think that Claire has formed an ultimate loop that should be continued. One of the theories points out that Claire will end up dying in the past. It's not important if the cause of her death is old age or some other issue. However, most of the fans think that Claire's death must happen in the past. In this way, she'll be able to be born again in the future, which will lead to the repetition of all the events, resulting in a love loop. However, if she's able to go back to her time and ends up dying there, the time in the series will continue from that point, and their history will not be repeated. Up next, someone will plant the forget-me-nots. In the first season, we've seen that Claire got drawn to the stone of Croagnadoon as she saw some forget-me-not flowers that were growing there. She was very surprised to see those flowers there. She was hoping to gather some of them to study, but she ended up transporting them through the stones to begin her adventure. Ever since then, fans have been theorizing about the possible meaning behind those flowers throughout the entire duration of the show. This leads to a theory that one of the main characters will go back to the stones at some point during Claire's time and plant the flowers there. And it's been assumed that it may be Bree who will plant those flowers, paving the way for her mother to finally find her way to her father. Next, Jamie will travel through time. We all know certain people in the Outlander universe can use the stones to travel through time, but the show and books have made it clear that the ability to time travel is a sort of genetic trait. The people who can travel through time will hear a buzzing sound when they stand near the stone, but it's pretty clear at this point that Jamie isn't one of those people, as he can't hear that sound and the stones don't feel hot when he touches them. Well, never say never. We are literally talking about a show which focuses on a World War II nurse who gets the chance to time travel to 18th century Scotland and falls in love with a hunky redhead. So the possibility of Jamie traveling through the stones is not completely ruled out. In fact, some of the fans believe that Jamie will finally get this moment. This leads us to talk about that specific moment in season 1 again, when Frank sees Jamie in Claire's window when they first travel to Inverness during the 1940s. After spotting Jamie, Frank describes him to Claire as some sort of ghost-like figure. No doubt this scene is one of the show's biggest mysteries. However, the book writer said that all about it will be explained in the last book. The theory here arises that Jamie will eventually discover that he can travel through time in this way. Claire and Jamie will get the chance to go back in time and finally live their lives in peace. No doubt going back in time with their newfound knowledge of time travel will help them improve their lives, which would be very well deserved for the characters. Next is that Claire will become ill and travel home. Some fans believe that Claire will seriously fall sick at some point in the series. This will make Jamie force her to go back in time in order to get the proper treatment, but if this happens, fans believe that she won't be able to get back to him in the 18th century Scotland, separating them once again through time. This would actually provide the explanation for Jamie's ghost-like figure watching her and waiting for her return. As we've seen, Jamie Fraser is a keeper. He'll do anything to keep Claire protected and safe. So this theory actually fits with Jamie's personality for the possible ending of the series. We know this sacrifice from his side would be tragic to watch, but if they end up reuniting in the afterlife, this will give us a bittersweet end for the series. Another theory is that Jamie and Claire will die together. Although both Claire and Jamie have escaped death several times throughout the series, they're still not immortal. And we know Claire does have the ability to travel through time. Jamie and her are still humans, which means they can most probably die. As both of them are living in the past, their deaths have been a huge mystery throughout the series, although there has been some evidence that both of them will die in a house fire in the future, but we don't know many details yet. However, in the 4th season of the series, we've seen Brianna find the newspaper obituary in her father's office, but it's covered by an ink smudge, so no one knows the exact date Fraser's Ridge will eventually burn down. However, their North Carolina home does burn down, but Claire and Jamie manage to come out of it alive. This pushes them to a new adventure, which is to return to Scotland. But some of the fans don't think the fate of Fraser will be to end up dying in a house fire. In fact, most of the fans believe that Claire and Jamie will go on to live a long and happy life, but they will eventually pass away in each other's arms. No doubt it'll be hard to see either of them living without the other, so it'll be fitting for them to get their notebook moment. Not to give you high hopes, but this does seem likely. The book author Diana Gabaldon revealed that she wants to give our favorite couple the happy ending they deserve, as they've been through a lot of suffering. She said that the last book will end on a happy note and leave the readers with tears. Now we only hope the show will also do justice to their story. Up next, Brianna and Roger's children will travel further back in time. As the show has revealed that only some people can travel through time, it's still unclear what quality allows them to do so. So far, only travelers like Brianna and Claire have been able to time travel through these timelines that are parallel to each other. However, one theory reveals that back in their own time, Roger and Brianna's children will try to travel through time, and they will end up going further back, where no one had ever gone before. Then they will live there and end up being the ancestors of Gellis, Claire, and other time travelers, giving us one big paradox of time. That's a wrap for this video. How do you think the show will end? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel with more videos like this. See you in the next one.